Welcome to the Warband, a World of Warcraft podcast. My name is Swaglock, and with me today, my best friend, gamer, father of two, good at maths. He's good at math. He makes me look bad at math. Chicken. What's up, Chicken? How are you doing?
Chopped at the same giant.
Yeah, as a grocery store for anybody who doesn't live very local to us. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, no,
if you don't live in like Pennsylvania, basically, you probably don't know what Giant is. Yeah, it's a grocery store.
Yeah, well, I stopped by to pick up some supplies to make cheesesteaks today, and I just hear I hear my name being called out by your son, like your little toddler son. I'm like, whoa, where's this coming from?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, and yeah. I totally was like, when we were driving in, I saw you and I was like, oh my gosh, look, it's Swaglock, because that's how I refer to you all the time. And I was like, okay, that's weird. And then I just started texting you like I knew you were in Giant, and you played along like you maybe knew I was also in Giant. So I was like, that's kind of weird. Anyways, this isn't the grocery store podcast. This is the WoW podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm doing pretty good. I got my chicken cheese steaks.
Nice.
Played a lot of WoW this week, and it's been great because your boy finally did it. Your boy finally got the Gmod, baby. Let's go.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We talked about the bonus content on Patreon, which, by the way, if you want to help support this podcast, I almost said channel. If you want to help support this podcast and what we're doing, we're going to talk about that later in the episode, so hang tight, and we'll discuss that soon. But, dude, Gmod, that's kind of been your big push. I've been pushing hard for, what's its face? Invincible. Still no luck.
Yeah.
Still no luck on Invincible.
But
sucks. I'm trying.
Dude, I'm telling you, I'm just going to run like one Gmod, or not one Gmod. I'm going to run like one Ice Crown. Literally just one.
Yeah, you probably
and I'm going to bust it out, and you're going to be so upset.
I will, dude.
Because
I'm not even lying. I will 100%. 100%.
And like the sad thing is like I don't even really like that. Like I really don't like that
mount.
That mount. Like it's not that I don't like it. It's just I don't see. Well, I know what the appeal is. The appeal is like, hey, this was like such a big mount back in the day, and it was like huge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like that makes a lot of sense, right? But for me, it's just like, it's okay, right?
Yeah. It's definitely one of those things where, like, if you want it, then you love it. But, like, you gotta... Again, it's like a... Oh, gosh, how old is that? Like 17, 18? Or let's say 16. Let's just say... which I think is older, right? But, like, a 16-year-old mount in the game, right? Like, Blizzard has had 16 years to make cooler mounts, better mounts, more impressive mounts, right? Sleeker,
oh, yeah, exactly.
More polygons, more detail... But I still that's the one. Like, if there's anything that I can walk away from this month being like, I finally got that thing, it would be Invincible. If I could get Invincible this month, I don't care about anything else. Now the problem though is right now is a weird moment, because at this very moment, like, a bunch of people are getting Invincible. So for the next year, it's going to be like whatever. But after a year is up, that's where like things are going to equal back out again, and people will again be like, oh yeah, Invincible is such a rare mount. So cool that you have it. So I got to wait.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, my question is, do you think a lot of people are actually doing this content? Like, I'm just curious.
The mount farming?
I'm not. Yeah. Do you think there's a lot of people doing it?
Yeah, dude. Everybody and their mom is mount farming right now. I got, like 2 days ago, I think it was, Oreo even sent me collage type of thing that she was making. No, I don't want to say collage. It was more like a scrapbook. Like, she had like a scrapbook that she was making of all the stuff she's been collecting this month from the increased drop rates.
Jeez.
Yeah, and all the farming, which was really cool. Like, it was really cool that she put that together and did that. Got a lot of awesome stuff. Really, but I'm seeing it constantly in guild chat. Like, constantly in guild chat, people are showing off the things that they're getting.
Like, people are getting
I would say, in terms of like events Blizzard's done, this is probably one of the most like engaged events where people are doing it, and they're not. And again, they're not feeling like they're obligated to do it because they have to get some sort of player power or something, right? Those are kind of annoying where it's like, oh, you have to do this to get the ring of the season or the belt or
Yeah, like that's just bogus.
Right. Those are kind of annoying. But in this particular case, it's interesting because it's not even like they haven't even added content. They just said, hey, drop rates are increased. Do what you will with that.
Yeah, right.
And all of a sudden, things that felt unobtainable before, because like the mount farmers are already farming mounts. So they're for sure, 100% they're already going for it. They're,
they're already doing it.
That's what I'm doing. I'm doing it. I was already doing it. I'm going to keep doing it. Oh. But there's a lot of people, myself included, right? Like for a long time, I tried to farm Invincible. I actually like worked hard to try and farm Invincible for a while. It just wasn't working. I had no luck. I eventually gave up. Yeah, dude, I was running ICC. It wasn't a lot, but I think I was running ICC like 3 times a week or something.
Like you definitely just had like alts parked there and you'd just log in like once a week.
Yes.
Probably before you got,
Yeah, this was back in this was
stuff.
back in Shadowlands, I think.
Oh, even that far back. I
was really pushing ICC. I also mount farmed ICC even longer than that. I think in WoD I was farming ICC a bunch.
It doesn't take that long, It's like an hour's worth of time if you were doing it on like a couple alts.
And so I did but I gave up. I gave up on it because I was like, I'm never getting this mount. It's too hard. And now I'm back at it because I'm like, you know what? Drop rates are up. I might as well try it again, see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth the time, right?
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are doing that. A lot of people are like, yo, you know what? I wouldn't have thought about doing before, but now that the drop rates are good, I'm going to give it a shot again. So I would say this might be one of the best. This might be one of the best, like, little mini events that Blizzard has done. So I'm pretty excited about it. And I will say right now, and I know some people are upset because they claim it's like FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. In terms of like Blizzard keeps doing all these quote unquote FOMO events where it's like, oh, hey, do this for a month and then do this for a month and then do this for a month. My thing is that like if these things were all just always available all the time, they wouldn't be interesting, right? So basically Blizzard would be able to activate it one time and then it wouldn't be fun. This event wouldn't even be on their radar at that point. Right? Because they're not going to just permanently increase drop chances. But I'm talking about things like, what did we have? What did we have recently? The horrific visions, right? And other stuff like that. That was kind of going on. We have like the short plunger storm runs, right? Those kind of things. It just felt like recently we've just had one thing after another, and it's been really nice. Like it's been really nice, and not everything has been my thing. Like I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really touch horrific visions. I also was super busy. That was like wedding prep season, so I was very busy.
Yeah, I mean, like,
but even still,
we're in the throes of wedding prep.
Yeah, but even still, right? Like, just that they have all this stuff, and I know some people are like, "Well, it's FOMO because I feel like I have to log in and do it." No, nobody's making you do anything. You just want it. You're seeing it and going, "Oh, I want that,"
yeah,
right? Like,
you want that.
That's on you. If you want it, go do it. If you don't want it enough to go do it, then just don't do it and be okay. Be content not doing it. But I think I'm happy with Blizzard. Now I know people are upset because they were kind of like artificially slowing some of it down, where they were going, "Hey, we're releasing this, but then we're only doing segments." That's a little bit more questionable. But I have no problem with them overall just being like, "Hey, this event's only running for a month." So if you want to take part,
I think that's perfectly fine. Like this is like this event isn't. I think the big. I think for people that are upset that they're only doing it for a month and like that kind of stuff, I don't think Blizzard had to do this. No. Like this wasn't like something that was like, Blizzard, you need to do this. Like we're asking you, we've been asking you to do this for decades and you haven't done it yet. Like shame on you. No, this was Blizzard saying, hey, like we want to add something into the game that would, entice people to just go do older content, right? We're in like the throes of the end of the season where I'm sure they're looking at numbers and they're like, hey, our player count and our, people that log in, that used to log in daily, maybe even weekly, are, that's down like 50%. And now they're probably seeing like, holy cow, like people are logging in every single day that weren't even logging in once a week, for the past 4 weeks, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's a W on their part. Like, I mean,
yeah, I would even say even for the content that's like artificially like slowed down, right? So, horrific visions, right, where you couldn't just go farm all the horrific visions day one, but you had to kind of wait. Each week was unlocking a little bit more and more. I
Yeah.
get it as a player. It's like, yo, let me just do it as much as I can and just juice it out, right? But I think Blizzard's smart. And the reason why I think they're smart is some people, if you just unlock perfect visions, yeah, sure. Some people would just be like, yo, it's day 1, I'm farming it. And then week 2, I'm still in there. Week 3, like as long as this event's going on, I'm going to be in there the whole time. But I think there's a lot of people, and I would actually say it's most people are probably what's happening is as they kind of drip feed each part of it, you're like, oh, let me log in and do what I can for horrific visions this week. Oh, while I'm on, my buddy asked if I want to go run a key with him. Yeah, I'll go run a key as well. I think it's like naturally like Blizzard's just going like, hey, we want to give you a little bit of a reason to log into the game, right? Like here's like a little bit of a reason to log in. And then once you're in there, maybe you'll see your friends online. Maybe you'll be like, well, I'm already in. I might as well try out this character or do this thing or do whatever, right? It just adds more. I also have another thought too that I want to hear your opinion on, because there was a lot of complaint about again, I don't remember the language people use. It's slipping my mind right now, but this idea of like artificially slowing down the release of content, where it's like, oh hey, we're not releasing all of it right away at once. We're doing in segments because we're trying to make sure players aren't just again going in the first day or the first week and just like totally clearing out this content and then not touching it again, right? And it's fascinating because, at the same time that that's going on, a lot of the same players and many others are complaining about how FOMO-inducing these events are, where it's like, oh, hey, look, like, Blizzard keeps putting these events out, and they're kind of like a limited run thing, and they have certain mounts, and now I'm feeling obligated that I have to, like, go do this to get this stuff, which, by the way, you're not obligated to. You just want it. If you just want something, yeah. That's a pet peeve of Swags, by the way. You're not obligated. Blizzard doesn't have a gun to your head. They're not forcing you to do this. You're personally saying, I want that. I'm making the choice to do it. Okay? That's like when my wife asks me to hang out with her, and I was going to, like, game with my buddy. Like, my plan was to game that night. My wife asks me to hang out with her, and I choose to hang out with my wife. I'm not obligated to hang out with my wife. I could go game if I want to. I just really like hanging out with my wife. And I have to remind myself sometimes. I have to be like, no, there's no shame in that. Like, there's no shame that, like, I'm not gearing up my character or anything. And I know this sounds like a ridiculous topic, but, like, genuinely, like, I made that choice because I like hanging out with my wife. She's fun. She's my best bud, right? Like, if she wants to hang out, I'm hanging out. And so, if you want that item, if you want that mount, and you want to go put the work in and do it, awesome. But that's not Blizzard's fault. It's not Blizzard's fault that they said, hey, if you want to do more stuff, here's stuff. And you said, yes, I do. I do want to do more stuff. But I do think it's funny. I do think it's funny, though, that we have this dichotomy going on where you have players complaining that Blizzard's, like, quote unquote, forcing them to do stuff by creating FOMO, this fear of missing out, while simultaneously also having players complaining that Blizzard isn't allowing them to do enough. Right, that they're like, Blizzard's slowing me down. I want to do more. So what is it? Like, what do players want? Do players want to, like, have Blizzard constantly just, like, giving them content that gives them, like, full dives? Because if you're able to full dive into content day 1, then Blizzard has to expect that content's going to be cleared out within the week, right? If not cleared day 1. So then are they supposed to be giving you new content every freaking week? But then if they're giving you new content every freaking week, is that just more FOMO? Or like, like it goes back and forth. Or if they're eliminating FOMO, does that just mean less content or like a slower pace of content? I don't know, man. It's one of those things where like,
it's frustrating,
right? Like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't type of situation.
I mean, honestly,
they can't win.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. I mean, I will say I think they've done a good job with the content that they've released in this patch, through the 0.5 patch, through the 0.7 patch, and now like towards the end of the actual patch. I think they've done a good job of making it like, oh, this is cool, but it's not necessarily like something that I'm going to want to just like log in every day and grind, right? I'm sure some people are like, oh yeah, I want to do this all day, every day. But I would say probably like 80% of the player base is like, oh, this is fun. Like I'll do it once a week, but it's not something that I'm going to get on and do every single day. Right. I mean, the mount farming is probably the exception.
Yeah. The mount farming is a very unique one.
I think they looked at it and they were like, hey, I think this is a good opportunity. To be honest, I'm kind of curious how that went. Like, who was sitting where? Were they sitting around and in the break room, and someone was like, hey, we should increase the drop percentage for like old mounts from like raids and dungeons. And someone was like, and everyone laughs, and then someone's like, wait,
that's a good idea.
Yeah, and then they're like, let's do it. And then they're like, dude, like 100%, if we never see this event ever again in the history of this game, I would be shocked. I would be very shocked. Now, granted, I don't think they're going to pull it out next season. I mean, I could be wrong. I doubt it, though. I think it's going to probably be more of like a maybe once every 5 years kind of deal, maybe once every couple years, right?
Mm-hmm. This might be like a once an expansion type thing, and I hope it is. I hope it's not a frequent like once a year, once a season thing.
Yeah. Because it's hard because there's only so many mounts that you can make. And
if you do it too often, right? If it's like once a season, then what happens is you get to the point where you're like, well, first of all, people are going to farm those mounts real fast, right? But
100%.
But also too, right? You hit the point where it changes the mindset of that content. Where literally, I could just see in guild chat somebody be like, "Oh, hey, how do I get this mount?" And someone else being like, "Oh yeah, for this mount, like you need to go run this raid, but I wouldn't do it yet. Wait till later this season, and then like you'll have like a buff to do it faster." Right,
yeah,
like, that would just be the thing, right? Everybody would just be like, just wait, don't do it.
Yeah,
now.
just wait. Why would you run it now?
Yeah, just wait, right? Yeah, so then it kind of like that whole section of content, right, kind of becomes pointless. Which, by the way, though, we joke about now, and you're like, yeah, well, that'd be good though. Like it'd be good to just wait. Except the players who love doing mount farms right now, when this event is over, if they knew another one was coming up, like within the year, or whatever, however long a season is, within like 6 months or something. Right, they would literally just be sitting there like, okay, I guess I don't know. Is it worth it to keep mount farming? Like, they'll stop doing the content they enjoy doing and just wait until the next event, right? So, to me, I think they need to be very careful with this one, but it was a good event.
Yeah, I definitely think it was. I 100%, I think we'll see it again. When we see it again, I'm going to guess it's probably going to be after the last Titan would be my guess.
Yeah.
I doubt we'll see it again anytime soon.
Dude, you know what event was really good?
But...
You know what event was really good but had the worst timing? Now in hindsight, the 20th anniversary event.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Like in terms of like what they did, like they actually, because again, it just replaced the normal anniversary event, and so I'm assuming we'll see it now every year for anniversaries. But I thought it was actually like really good, and even like bringing in like a raid, right? Like be like, hey, there's a second raid now that you can run. You have 2 raids. I thought it was so good, but the timing was horrendous.
The timing was awful.
It was like very early on in the season. Like imagine if right now, like imagine if this month, like right before the a new season launched, this month was when like that went live.
Yeah, I mean, that would be really good timing, to be honest.
Right, like that would have been great. Like, and if they had made the raid like heroic mode was actually harder than like normal heroic mode, right? Like it was just like it was in between actual heroic and like mythic. So if you went in there with your guild, it was still like a little bit of a challenge, right? Like even with all the gear you have now and stuff, I think they could have made something really really cool. And instead, I know they had to drop it because of the timing of the anniversary. But they like released it like, what was it like? It felt like it was like a month into the actual season.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a month, but I think it was like really close. Like we didn't even get through heroic raid.
No, we weren't done heroic raid yet. Yeah.
Yeah, we hadn't gotten AOTC for the season yet, and it was like, hey, this part of me thinks that might have been the reason we lost some steam. I don't want to like full send it and be like, yeah, this is the reason our raid team lost steam, but like, I mean, it definitely pulled people who were like, oh, like this is kind of cool, I want to go do it, and they were like, oh, but I kind of got a gear for actual stuff. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it would have been a really cool kind of time, but they definitely overshot it, and it's like you said, I understand why they did it. Unfortunately, it just kind of had to happen like that, and it's not really anyone's fault, but it kind of almost seems like it was a waste, right? But yeah, hindsight's always 2020, right?
Yep.
Hopefully if they ever do something like that again, it's not like pretty soon into the patch. But hey, this was again our long-winded intro that got us to right where we are, where we have yet to ask each other how our week's been. How has your WoW week been? Have you been playing have you done anything other than mount farming?
Oh yeah, dude. I've been working
okay.
on. Okay, so
Here's
the thing, and I know the listeners, they want to know, Swag.
Oh yeah.
How is your Keystone Legend push going? Like, are you finally there?
Baby.
Are you finally at Keystone Legend?
Oh,
no,
yeah.
actually, I have made no progress since my wedding. I have not run a single dungeon outside of like farming the time walking ones for that mount. I've not run a single dungeon on my Death Knight.
Oh man.
Yeah, I've been playing my healer like nonstop, which has been fun. But dude, I think it's because after the wedding and the honeymoon and like the week leading up to the wedding and then being home for a week, just kind of focusing on my relationship with my wife, it just kind of like time kept going on, and I kept looking at the difficulty of running 12s, and then I only have like 3 12s left, and I have to push a couple 13s. And like looking at the difficulty that's ahead of me, I was just kind of like, oh no, I'm struggling to get myself to do it, but I know I only have a couple weeks left. I really only have like 2 weeks left to get this done, if even, right?
Yeah.
If even 2 weeks. So I gotta crunch. I gotta sit down. I think the best option I have right now is to like get some buddies with resilient keys and just like form a group of friends and just push this thing, because I'm not pugging it. There's no way. I've been pugging on my shaman right now, and we talked about it a bit already on the podcast. Maybe it was on bonus content. I don't remember. But dude, pugging is so weird. It's always so weird at the end of the season.
Oh yeah.
Like, dude, the dumbest stuff happens in the last month of a season when you pug.
Oh yeah, it's bad.
Bro, today I gotta tell you. No, sorry, I know you're gonna say something.
Go ahead.
I'll tell you this story. So I'm going into a mecha gun. It's just a +10, so nothing like super crazy. But that's where I'm at my shamans. I'm trying to get all my 10s done on my shaman, and then I'll kind of work up from there. Maybe I'll just do KSL on my shaman. No, I won't. But anyways,
oh my gosh.
Anyways, so
I mean, maybe.
Who knows? The gear's not quite there though. But I'm like healing this +10, and the like we wipe, like the tank doesn't like. We're in Mechagon, right? And so you have to, on that first boss, you have like the 2 bosses that work together, and every time the one guy gets his shield up, you have to use the hammers to break his shield. Easy enough. Mm-hmm. We weren't breaking his shield. We just weren't breaking his shield. It just wasn't right. So we get the tank down, and then the other guy still has like 25% HP left by the time we kill the tank.
Oh.
And at that point, he's just pumping damage, because I think he does more damage when one goes down, because you're supposed to kill him.
I think he enrages. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so we wipe, and it felt bad on my end because I'm the healer, but I can't heal through that, right? Like that's an enraged timer. I could heal it a little bit, but eventually it was just too much, and people were slowly going down. So we go in again. As we're running to the boss, the tank just goes, because we were trying to like ping the hammer, so we knew to take the thing to the freaking hammer.
Yeah.
Right? And then the tank just goes, "Hey, don't ping things. I know the mechanics." Okay. Well, you weren't doing them.
Okay.
But whatever. All right.
Okay.
Which again, I think anybody who says don't ping is like an idiot, because pinging is like one of the most powerful tools in the game, right? Like, we're doing this as a team. We have to communicate, and we're not in voice chat. So like, pinging is the next best bet, unless you want us to sit there in like text chat during mid combat going, "Hey idiot, take him to the hammer," right? Like,
right.
Right. So anyways, sorry, I know I'm being a little aggressive towards him right now, but again, this was a weird situation. So we go in.
What did you say it was?
Mechagon 10.
10, okay.
Yeah, first boss. And so we go back in, we take him, and he's like still not really taking the guy to the hammer. He did it like the first 2 times, and after that, he just kept letting it stack up. And so sure enough, we like wipe again. And we were still pinging, by the way. We were still pinging, trying to warn him. And finally the guy goes, "Hey, like, why is the tank still following me around? Like, I'm trying to separate them, but they won't separate." And I was like, "Oh my gosh."
What?
This guy knows the mechanics from 2 years ago, not the mechanics from this season. And so the whole time he's like yelling at us, because he's like, "Guys, stop trying to tell me what to do. I know the mechanics." And finally, before he leaves, he goes, "I don't think I know the mechanics."
Oh
like, yeah.
my
No, you
gosh.
don't. You don't know him. And that's, dude, I don't know, man. After that first pull, he should have been like, oh, what was I doing wrong? And we literally could have just been like, oh, every time those shields pop up, just take him to the hammer.
Yeah, right?
Stack them.
Oh my gosh.
I remember,
Yeah.
by the way, I remember when they first made the announcement for that change where you had to stack those bosses, and I was like, this is going to be so much worse. It's such an easier fight now.
Yeah, it's so much easier.
What are you going to say,
though? So I was going to say, we actually talked about it last week with our guest, Rolly.
Yeah, I loved Rolly. He was fun.
Yeah, he was a really good guest. Shout out to last week's episode if you want to go back and listen to it. It's not super time relevant, so we definitely had a great guest that I'm sure you'd love to listen to. That was our last episode 45. And yeah, I just mentioned it because he kind of runs like this guild and runs some other side stuff with content where they kind of help people, achieve things that might be a little not necessarily out of their realm, but like, definitely push themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I posed a question: is it too late in the season to get KSL or KSM or KSH or AOTC or whatever? And that kind of goes along the lines with what you're saying, because I've run like, oh my goodness. And it's funny that you say a 10 Mechagon, because I ran a 10 Mechagon this week too. Yeah. And we ended up timing it barely, but as the tank, I was the second highest DPS, and I almost out DPS the top DPS as a tank.
Yeah, dude, groups are weird right now.
I'm like, how does this happen? The sad thing is, like, I can't say I was paying attention, but I don't think like that was the first 10 Mechagon that some of these people ran. And I was like, this just doesn't feel right. Like, are people like trying maybe a different spec? Are they trying different, are they trying to heal? Maybe they play Ret Pally and they wanted to play Holy to try it out, and they're like, let's just load right into a 10 because I have 2500 IO because I'm a Ret Pally and I got KSH, and I'm like, that's not a good motto.
Yeah. Man, it's just been weird. My theory that I have, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I suspect I'm pretty confident. It's during the end of the season, the last month, people are like, as the season progresses, people's confidence is building up in like what they can do, right? And so they're now trying to push towards things that maybe they haven't been able to do before. Maybe they're feeling they're finally out gearing these things. Yeah. And I think what we're running into trouble with though is there hits a curve where you can't out gear it in M+. In the sense of like you need to know certain mechanics. And that's, by the way, I have my spot where like 12s are the rough spot for me, where I just know mechanics well enough, but not like super well, right? So it's kind of like this like weird in-betweeny kind of realm. And so like, dude, but I think they just don't know mechanics. And sometimes I watch like, This week you have, I mean, jokingly referred to as like the healer affix, right? But you have the dispel affix where you have to constantly dispel it. And I'm on my shaman, so it's fairly convenient because I can throw my totem down for one of them. Like every other one I can throw my totem down and it'll cleanse them all off. But then every other one I have to like manually go through and heal people up. And dude, it is so much harder. It is so much freaking harder for me to heal. When nobody's taking care of their thing.
Yeah, and no one knows what they're doing.
I get it for like the one spec in our group that like literally has the worst toolkit ever to handle it. But when I'm watching like paladins, bro, when I'm watching freaking paladins in my group not cleansing themselves, I stop, by the way. And by the way, here's a genuine question, and I want to know, like, if you're listening, comment on Spotify or Apple or leave a comment on our Discord. If you comment on Discord, that's probably where you'll actually get a response from us from. But
true,
dude, like, is my role, like, as a healer right now, right? Like, is my role to make up for everybody's mistakes? Like, is that my primary role as a healer, to be like, oh, I'm just here to make up for people's mistakes. You didn't handle the affix, let me handle it for you. You didn't do the mechanic, let me heal you back up. Because that feels crappy, bro. That feels so
What'd you say?
crap. It just feels crappy.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where I do feel like this just pulls me back to Dragonflight when people were just like so mad at healers all the time because they weren't doing healer things. And it's like, yeah, like I think there's definitely some things that are more suited to different specs, but at the same time, it's like that is one thing that you cannot blame on the healer. And I'll give it to Blizzard. I generally like this air quotes healer affix better than last season's healer affixes.
Yeah. In terms of like compared to like previous expansions,
yeah,
even though like
they're so much better.
Yeah, this one is like, hey, if you can't get it, the healer can help out, and the healer plays a good part. Because again, though, by the way, there's affixes where you have to, for example, there's the one where you have to kill Xalatath when she pops up.
Yeah.
Healer's not doing that, right? That's a DPS, right?
Yeah, that's a DPS ass.
And so, yeah,
affix.
and obviously as a healer, I could still try and throw a couple little fireballs at it or something. But so I do think affixes this season, and there's just one that's like primary healer. But in past seasons, it was like stupid things where anybody could do it, and it was just like, actually, the healer's gonna do it because that's the least amount of DPS.
Yeah,
we lose,
yeah, right.
Yeah, and so this one's kind of like a weird in the middle, much better than those stupid ghosts that used to pop up that you have to heal up or something.
Awful, bro.
Those were atrocious. But the nice thing with this one is like generally speaking, you should have like 2 or 3 other people in the group that can like clear off their own.
Like your tank should just be able to do it, right?
Yeah, right. Like I mean, I know my Blood DK there was a talent I could take that would remove it with using anti-magic shell, but I didn't even take the talent. I just would Death Strike. And I knew, as soon as I would hear Xalatath do her thing, I would store up some extra runic power and just heal it up as soon as like it happened. And healing absorb on DK isn't always the most fun. It is a little bit painful, but whatever, right? Anything I can do to keep pressure off my healer, anything I do to keep him from just wasting mana. But my question that I wanted to get to though is like, as a healer, I feel like I'm constantly just fixing people's mistakes. And when I'm running in a group where I don't feel like I'm fixing their mistakes, those runs are great because I'm just able to focus on healing. I'll do damage when I'm not doing anything else. I'll try to keep my interrupts rotating pretty smoothly. I'll use my stun totems, my knockups, right? Like whatever I can do to help out with the group. I'm on top of all of it. But then there's other runs where I'm like panicking. I'm stressing out because everybody is like ignoring mechanics and they're just getting whacked left and right. And now all of a sudden I'm in charge of fixing their screw ups. And so all of this comes back to the affix, right? Where like part of me is like, you know what? I'm just not going to ever heal this person and get the affix off of them if they're not going to if they're making no effort, why should I make an effort, right? But then part of me is also like, but crap, if I don't do this, then the whole group, then like all the enemies get an extra buff on top of it, and then now it's harder, right? So It hurts me not to help, but like I feel taken advantage of, and I think that's why it's frustrating. I think sometimes as a healer, you feel taken advantage of. And there's 2 types of being taken advantage of. There's the kind of type of being taken advantage of where like people are intentionally taking advantage of you. They're like, I don't value this person. I'm going to abuse them. I'm going to like find ways to make them do work for me, right? And then there's like the other type of taking advantage of. Yeah, there's the other type of taking advantage of where it's just like, it's not innocent, but it's unaware, right? And so they're just like, I'm not going to put in any time to like actually learn how this works. I'm just going to like let someone else take care of it, right? That is frustrating, right? Awful. Like, yeah. And I almost like sometimes that feels worse, right? Because at least when someone's like trying to take advantage of you, you're like, well, I know this will go away. Right? Like in the next round, this will go away.
This guy's just being a jerk.
But there's right now at this point in the season, there's just too many. Like you go in and like nobody has any clue what they're doing, and you're just like,
oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah. Have you ever seen those?
It's terrible.
I was getting these like TikTok videos for a little while where it would be this dude, and I guess he would like green screen himself into like a construction site or something, and he would like look around kind of like confused, and like every time he would like look somewhere, it would like cut to a random clip of like an actual construction site where they were doing something like really stupid and really dangerous. That's right. He's like looking around, like everywhere around him. He's just like surrounded by idiots, right? Doing the weirdest stuff. That's what I feel like sometimes in keys right now, where I'm like looking around, I'm like, and these aren't high keys, dude. These are like 10s. These are like 10s, which 10s are on the higher scale end for me, right? But like, if you listen to like other podcasts, that maybe are a little bit more like pro tier than we are, like they're running like freaking like 18s, 20s, whatever, right? So we're not even talking about that high, but dude, just keys get weird right now. I'm looking around like, what are people doing?
Awful.
Yeah, but whatever.
Like,
New season starts soon.
Yeah, I mean, that shouldn't be like the... Yeah, I think it all just comes down to people are seeing like the finish line, right? And they're like, hey, I really want to get my portals, or hey, I really want to get KSH. You know, I'd be curious if KSL, like if people are like, hey, I really want to get KSL. I feel like people were mostly like, hey, I really want to get my portals. That seems like a pretty...
Portals are probably the big one, right?
Yeah.
And,
so
yeah,
it's kind of weird. I don't know.
Now, I will say, I just ranted about a bunch. I just called people idiots. I made a big deal about this. I was very upset. If you right now are like, but Swag, I'm one of those people. I'm trying really hard. I want to get this achievement before the season's over. I want to push. I want to do something. That's great. Here's my offer. Here's my offer. Join our Discord and run some of those keys with some people in our community. And they'll help. Yeah. They'll actually like in voice chat. They'll explain mechanics to you. They'll help you like not just get it done, but like actually learn how it works. So that next season you can basically start at that point and be like, oh, actually I understand this so much better. I don't have to wait till the end of the season. I'm pretty confident to go at the beginning of the season. We got some amazing players in there, and we got people who like would love to like sit and run keys with other community members and like explain mechanics, explain how things work, explain what to watch out for. So, all that say, I'm ranting a bunch, but also know, like, we do offer help, too.
Yeah, we definitely do. Hey, and on this subject, kind of just want to touch, we got a nice little...
Chicken, you there? I think I lost you.
Ending with season 2, and it's mostly
the
Chicken, normal stuff.
Do you want to start that again? For some reason, you like...
Oh.
Yeah, you like popped out for a second, and then you came back and like double time, and it was weird. It was like catching up.
Interesting. Well, hey, I was saying Blizzard released a nice little article for us, kind of telling us what achievements are going away in season 2. It's the standard ones, but I just kind of wanted to go through it because I think there's a lot of things that people might think are going away that aren't, and maybe some things that are going away that people thought weren't going away. So just real quick, we can just breeze through this real quick.
Yeah.
Obviously, AOTC, Cutting Edge, Hall of Fame, all that stuff's going away. Your Keystone Master, Legend, Hero, all that's going to go away. Your portals are going to go away. All your PvP stuff's going to go away. Seems like this season 2 tier delve achievements are going to go away, and then a couple other ones. The big key ones that I don't see, it doesn't say about taking away the oh my goodness, the overcharge delve achievements.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if overcharge delve is still going to be a thing. People were kind of speculating that it didn't seem like it was because they weren't seeing it in the PTR.
I suspect they'll come back towards the end of next season if they liked it. If they liked it, we'll see it come back at the same time next season. I just don't know.
Yeah, see, I just don't know because with the belt supposed to be like pushing into next season, how do they not bring back overcharged delves? Like, if I don't have the belt and it's supposed to be like a good item next season, how am I supposed to get items for the belt?
I would gamble that they don't want the belt to be good next season. Right?
You don't think?
No. So I think going into next season, they want the belt to be good at the start of the season. Like, oh, hey, if you have the belt, great. But what's going to happen, as we often see, is like if the belt's too good, it's just probably going to get nerfed.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't do that with the ring, which was kind of surprising. I mean, the ring was pretty bis for a lot of people for a long time.
They nerfed it a bunch, though, going into the season.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I ran the ring for a long time, actually.
It just like happened to still be good, I think, for like Boomkin for a while.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I thought the goal with the ring was for it to actually be like semi-viable in season 2. Doesn't matter. That's one thing, and it doesn't seem like another thing that I was kind of curious to see if it went away was the renown for the raid. That doesn't seem like it's going away, which it kind of makes sense that it wouldn't go away. I don't know how many people are going to be running the past raid in the new season, so I'd still probably suggest that you run as much of Liberation of the Undermine as you can this season.
But I wonder for the future, right? Like, let's say somebody makes an account in the next expansion or the following expansion, right?
Yeah.
Is that something they can go back and specifically the mount, right? Specifically it's the mount. Go back slowly farm that renown. I'd be curious.
I mean, I'm assuming it works like any other renown, that you just play it, you know what I mean? Like it's not like something that it's like gatekeeped to having to be in that season, right? You know, like I can go back and do Shadowlands renowns, but I don't want to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Although there were some cool mods. Shadowlands, the normal leveling mog stuff was garbage, but the renown mogs were awesome, right? The zone related mogs really awesome.
Decent, actually.
Anything that was like anything though that was what was the main city hub called again?
Orbos.
Anything that was like Orbos themed was stupid. But outside of that, dude, everything was kind of sick. Shadowlands had some good mogs. Dude,
Shadowlands
I think we glazed
goated
Shadowlands a little
expansion
bit on this podcast.
Yeah, maybe Shadowlands is actually a goated expansion.
Dude, speaking of, you're talking about achievements though that don't transfer over. You know what does transfer over now into the new season?
Oh, what's that?
Valor Stones.
Oh yeah, that was definitely on my things to cover, which I think is kind of a great idea, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, at first I was kind of torn about it because I was like, oh, this seems kind of like a cop out. Like people are just gonna kind of farm it this season. But then I was like, oh, well, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, and you can only start with 2,000, right? Because you can't farm more.
Yeah, I'm like, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I think for me, what it's gonna mean is would be more willing to spend Valor Stones on lesser items, like, because for me it's always like, oh, like crests aren't too bad, really.
Yep.
I feel like I always have a fair amount of crests, but then my bottle cap, I think at the beginning of a season, is Valor Stones, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like I'll be more likely to upgrade maybe like a champion track gear, because it's like, oh, eye level is eye level for this. I'm not necessarily going to wait for a hero track. I mean, obviously there'll be certain speculations, but I personally, I really like that change. I think it's a great change.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And so that's like, I think it's good, but it's also not like, it's not the end of the world either. If you're like it's 2,000 Valor Stones, right? So like, it's nice that they're having, it's a nice little bump, but it's not. Dude, you're right. Like, it's not going to kill anything. It's not going to overwhelm anything. If they didn't have it, it's fine, because it's how it's always been. So it's a cool change, but not like a crazy change, right? And
it's not. I mean, it's not a game changer.
And part of me wonders is like, is that coming from? Again, this is a weird. I think I understand it right. I think it means ultimately from season 2 to season 3, you'll keep your Valor Stones, right?
Yes.
However, part of the question is it possible that what they really mean is going from preseason into the season, right? Because I don't remember when they did the reset before, right? I'm assuming it's at the beginning of the patch, not the start of the competitive season. But we also have a question coming in right now from one of our Patreon supporters listening live from Vlan. And he's saying, do you think they should raise the cap of Valor Stones? I think 2K is too low.
I mean, I don't necessarily think that's a terrible thing. I personally, I think they should get rid of Valor Stones. I think Valor Stones are kind of dumb, but it kind of is that like currency that I feel like you need to, not necessarily need, but you kind of like, hey, it's that extra currency that like, instead of spending gold on something, it feels kind of like okay to use Valor Stones.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be a little more friction, right? It's supposed to make it, especially like on a fresh character, It's supposed to
Yeah.
just be a little bit more friction on that character. But then again, it feels weird when you're like, yo, I just stocked up on a ton of crests and I have no Valor Stones.
Yeah, right.
Like when you
Personally,
like when
I
I
don't
need
hate it.
because when I need Valors or when I need crests, I'm like, oh, I need some Gilded crests. Let me go run a few dungeons. I know exactly what to do. When I need Valor Stones, I'm like, what the heck? What do I do for like what's the best way to there's no good way to farm Valor Stones, right? Like you look and you're like, ugh,
No, not
all this is
really.
lame.
Yeah, there's no like good way at all to get
No.
Valor Stones. Personally, I think they just made Valor Stones as a way of like giving people that do just world content like currency.
Yeah.
Because you always get like a little bit of Valor Stones from doing like any
Yeah.
like campaign quest.
Yeah. Yeah, they're an interesting thing. And the 2K cap is weird because it's not like the crest cap, right? The crest cap, just to clarify for people listening, when you get the max number of crests that you can get that week, you're capped out. You can't get any more crests.
Yep.
Even if you use them, even if you go back down to 0, you still can't get any more until next week. With Valor Stones, though, it's capped, but it's like a fake cap, right? It's more like rupees in Zelda, where like, oh, I can't get any more. My bag is full. But then as soon as you spend them, right? As soon as you spend them, then like you can just go get more again. So you never have caps.
Yep.
So the question of the 2K really is like, is 2K okay enough? I'm thinking, is 2K okay after like going from season to season, right? So like, is 2K the right number going from season 2 to season 3 that you could stack up? I would say maybe you could push 3K, but again, I probably wouldn't do any more than that because to some degree, you don't want to be walking into the new season like, yo, I got a crap ton of stuff left over from last season, so I'm just jumping ahead, right? Like,
Yeah.
Right? You can't have it too much. It starts to feel a little weird. So I don't know, but again, the 2K cap is one where I actually have I have a week order that I made for myself where like I track a bunch of items. It mostly just shows when I'm sitting in Dornicle, but I have it show in some other areas as well. And so it'll show me like what key I have and what level that key is. It'll show me how many crests I have, how many Valor Stones I have, and a few other items that I'm currently working on trying to collect or do stuff with. And so for Valor Stones, it actually, I think, I'm trying to remember where I have it set up. I think about the 1700 mark, it like lights up and glows. And so that way, like it catches my eye, and I'm like, "Oh crap! I gotta go spend some of these,
right?
before I forget about them."
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily hate an increase. I think an increase isn't a terrible idea. Now, how much? I mean, I'm okay with like a 25% increase, like make it like 2,500 or something. I mean, even 3K doesn't sound like terrible. Yeah, I don't hate the idea of it. I kind of like it. But then like at the end of the day, like, does it really matter, right? I guess.
Yeah, I would actually maybe lower how many Valor Stones you have to use for stuff, right? So
really?
Right, because you know how there's gear that can be upgraded with only Valor Stones, right? Like the lowest tier gear can be only Valor Stone upgrades. Keep that as it is, and then I would actually lower how many Valor Stones it costs to do upgrades moving forward from there, right? Anytime you have to use a crest, and maybe I don't know if I agree with this, but maybe even each level of crest. But I would just say in general, right? Like, yeah, I would say each level of crest as it goes up should probably use less Valor Stones too. The reason being is because at some point, right, like you're spending so many Valor Stones just to upgrade gear, and then you get a new piece of gear, and now you spend them again to upgrade that gear, and then you get a new piece of gear, and now you spend them again to upgrade that. Where for everything else, you're getting different types of crests, right? For Valor Stones, you're just constantly spending Valor Stones. So I would actually make it feel like Valor Stones become less important, especially for anything that costs crests. I think it's a really crappy feeling. It's a really crappy feeling when you need Valor Stones and not crests for an upgrade. I think it feels totally fine the other way around. Like if I'm looking and I need crests to do an upgrade, it never feels bad. I'm never like, I need crests for this, right? I'm like, oh yeah, let me go run some plus 10s are gonna give me what I want, right? But with Valor Stones, it just does feel crappy.
Yeah, it feels pretty bad. What can you do, right?
I don't know. Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot.
Hey, you did mention Valor Stones, a nice 11.2 update. There's a couple other 11.2 updates. There's a lot of class changes. We probably won't go through any of them. Although a weird one, I don't know if you saw, they changed the physical damage for monks. It used to be 5% increase of physical damage now, and then they changed it to 8, and then they changed back to 5.
Yeah, it's back to 5 now. And it's so dumb, dude. The whole thing is so stupid.
Come on, Blizz. Like, what are we wasting time?
Well, you know what? Well, do you know what happened? Like, why they changed it back?
It was probably way too powerful.
No, sort of, but not really. Sort of. So the problem is Mystic Touch is a cool little buff because it's supposed to be kind of similar to like some of the other buffs, right? Like, that you get as well.
Their raid buff.
Yeah, but the problem is like there's actually not as much physical damage that goes out as you would think. Because like paladins, for example, like in paladins you're like, oh, physical damage. No, it's not. Most of it's magic, right? Enhancement shaman, physical. No, most of enhancement shaman is magic, right? And so much more of it is like magic damage than like you realize. It's not like all physical damage. So it actually wasn't the 5% like because you know the Demon Hunter was a 5% buff, and they brought that one down to 3% because it was too powerful at 5%.
It's too powerful.
But the monk one actually underperforms at 5%, and so they were trying to bring it up so that in raid capacities and in M+, but raid capacities it would be more in line. And then the idea was for M+, it was like, hey, this actually makes some of our melee specs more viable having a monk in your group, like the way that the synergy that they have works really well together. And that's usually how meta works. Like most meta comps for M+ are based on the synergy that different like specs have together, right? So between like mage, priest, demon hunter, right? Like there's a lot of synergy just right there. That kind of like creates this natural comp, right? Like and by the way, those are three specs that you've seen in the comp since like beginning of Dragonflight, basically, right? They just never leave because their synergy together works so well. This season, though, we have been watching one competitive team do really well that has like a whole different comp, like completely different comp, and they have to play differently. But I believe it's like Brewmaster Monk is like the main tank and some other stuff. And so I think Blizzard might have been trying to play off the idea of like, hey, if we do this, we could potentially end up with like 2 meta comps at least, right? And then I think people didn't like that idea when they started to think about it. They were like, oh, we don't like the idea of having a second. And I'm like, why not? Like, what's wrong with that? But I think the fear was like, oh, well, if I play a melee, then I absolutely want to have a monk in my group because that's a 8% damage loss. It's not 8%. You're already losing 5% if you don't have one. So now it's just 3% more than it would have been before. It's not even an 8% damage loss, right? It's 8% damage loss specifically on your physical only attacks, right? So it's kind of an interesting thing where I actually think Blizzard was right in buffing it to 8%. I actually do think Blizzard was right in buffing it to 8%, but I think players don't know how to like not complain sometimes. And so they started to complain about something that ultimately was a good thing. Like, because again, it doesn't matter if you're running 10s, right? Where it really matters if you're trying to push title range. And if you're pushing title range, right, like I think it's cooler to have like more options than just, okay, here are the 5 specs you have to play. It would be cool to be like, hey, here's 2 comps, right? And they're both drastically different, right? One's like Demon Hunter, Mage, Priest, Shaman, whatever, right? And then another one is like, oh, hey, this one's actually more melee heavy. So this one's like Paladin, or not Paladin, let's say Warrior, right? Let's do Brewmaster, right? Brewmaster, Warrior.
Stick with Brewy?
Right, like Rogue, right? Like a little bit more melee driven. I don't know. You could do like Cat Druid instead of Rogue. Like you could just have some really cool options that would make another viable. Anyways, all that to say, I think Blizzard was cooking and players, it was too complicated for some players to understand, and that's why they undid it.
It makes sense.
Now, again, I also get that. I get that it feels bad if there's a buff out there and you don't have it in your group. I get that, but that's every raid buff.
Yeah, I mean, what can you do?
Yeah, you know who doesn't get one of those, though? This guy.
Stop.
No, I'm a bloody kid.
Dude, we can't rant about that every podcast. Well, we can, but...
That's okay.
It's gonna get old pretty quickly.
That's okay.
Maybe not.
That's
I don't
okay.
know. Maybe
Glocks will
live
still
with
come
it.
in and ask the question why Blood DK will be meta next season. It won't.
Oh my
It's gonna,
gosh.
dude. Blood DK looks like it's gonna be the worst tank next season.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, it's looking pretty bad.
Oh no.
It's looking pretty bad, dude. It's pretty bad out there.
Bad.
Yeah. Oh
That
well,
feels
I got
bad.
asked to heal, so perfect timing.
Oh my gosh. Hey,
Yeah.
anyways, there's some other class updates. You know, obviously check out Wowhead and other things for that. But one thing I did want to note is we talked about this last week, that it seems like there was going to be a bank update. Well, there is. Basically, the short terms is that the bank, like your specific player bank, is going to now function like your Warband bank, not being that you can pass stuff between your Warband, but it's going to have like different tabs, and it's going to have the same standard like UI and storage capacity as your Warband bank.
Yeah,
which
getting rid of the
makes
bag
sense.
thing, right? They're getting rid of the bag thing.
Yeah, it makes sense, because I feel like people are like, why would I use my bank anymore when I have Warband banks? That's like just as big. So to me, it totally makes sense.
I think especially new players, right? Because new players are coming in, they're like, why do I have to get bags and put them, right? Like it was an archaic feeling system. There's so much more to WoW right now, and so like learning how to use your bank just isn't. And also, storage is a weird thing now, right? Like there was something different back in Classic WoW, where you're literally collecting a bunch of materials and resources and stuff, and you're trying to hold on to them all, and then you're like, whoa, I can buy a bag and extend my bank space, and you're not even max level yet, right? Like you're still leveling and running out of bank space. And so like it felt cool. Nowadays it's like it's just that it's not there, right? So this was a good move. This was a modernization for the bank that needed to happen.
Oh yeah, definitely. This was Blizzard doing the right thing at the end of the day, I think. So, I mean, I'm pretty hype about it, but to be completely honest, I don't really use my bank. So, anyways. Hey, two last things we can touch on real quick, and then we can get in some viewer questions. There's some pretty good viewer questions this week, so let's definitely save some time for that. But one, we got Twitch drops going on right now. I think between now and the start of, the beginning of patch 11.2, kind of cool little back mog. It's interesting. It kind of looks like Ninja Turtles, to be honest.
Yeah.
If you like watching Twitch, make sure you watch someone that has that on. If you don't watch Twitch, maybe pull up Wowhead to see what you're missing out on, and just lurk on someone's stream for a couple hours.
When does that run until?
I think it is running till the beginning of the patch. I don't think it's the season here. I got it right here. You got to watch 4 hours of Twitch of someone that has it actively up, and it ends on August 11th, and it is currently happening.
Nice. That's awesome. I have been away from streaming on Twitch, just kind of getting used to wedding stuff and everything. So I've not been streaming. However, I will be returning to Twitch August 5th. So if anybody wants to come hang out with me, August 5th, we'll be back live on Twitch.
There you go, and you can get your nice back mog.
There we go. Perfect. But you got some time. So if you want to go watch someone else, some names I would recommend. Oreo, I believe she streams. Mothra Vita on Twitch. We had Vibing Gorilla. He streams most nights on Twitch as well. He's pretty awesome.
Yes.
We've had Zordic in the past on the podcast. I'm trying to think who else we had on the podcast that I could shout out and recommend. Touchpad Warrior as well.
Rolly streams every once in a while.
Yeah, he streams once in a while. So all our past guests, check them out.
Most of them stream.
That cool backlink. Yeah, most of them stream.
So yeah, definitely check out someone. I'm sure they'll have drops enabled. I would be appalled if they did not. Anyways, one last thing. I don't know if you actually looked at this. I did not.
Okay.
But they released some details on like a midnight kind of trailer, a midnight-esque kind of thing. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, so the trailer's not out yet. The trailer comes out next month after the new season.
Yes.
But there is basically all they really gave us was this like promo image showing some sort of Void Lord. I'm thinking Dementius because that's who we're fighting in the raid. right?
Mm-hmm.
But not Dimensius. They're showing Void Lord. Sorry, I pulled up the Ghost of Koresh image art by accident, the key art, which does have Dimensius on it. But the
Gotcha.
actual Midnight art that they showed has a bunch of Void Lords coming in. I think I'm trying to. I literally just scrolled past a second. Yeah, it has 3 Void Lords scooting around. 4? No, I think I see 4. There's one kind of hiding in the background. 4 Void Lords, right? And all sorts of stuff. But the big thing with this is that it looks like it's taking place around Silver Moon. So I wonder if the story is going to kind of take us to Silver Moon. We'll see what happens. I know some Horde players might not like it if Silver Moon becomes like a hub city because they won't want Alliance players in their Horde city. I get that. I still think the Horde Alliance conflict is important to Warcraft. I really do. And I don't think we can just completely glaze over it, right? Like, I don't think we can just ignore it. With that said, though, it would also, though, make sense if there was a massive attack in that area and they said, hey, for a short bit, we're going to have to share this city in order to take this on. But also you have to make it work in a way that makes sense, right? Because I could also see the Horde just being like, no, you're not using enough space. Get out of there,
screw
right?
you guys.
Screw you, right? We'll fight this off on our own. So I'm excited to see how it works out. But yeah, it's very, very vague. If you really have to zoom in and look at the details, but I think it's Silver Moon. There's right over top of the center Void Lord in the image. There seems to be the silhouette of one of the top parts of a building in Silver Moon. So we'll see. Some people think it might be N'Zoth. I do not think it's N'Zoth. I'm pretty confident it is Silver Moon. However, I also know Blizzard well enough to know that they would try to trick us with that too. So who knows?
Yeah, really. Let's
be
honest.
I don't think it's N'Zoth. I think we're about to face a part of the void that is totally different from the old god thing. We've done a lot of the old god thing. We haven't really done much of a pure void thing. So I'm excited. I'm excited for Midnight. I think it's gonna be a fun expansion. I'm really hoping we start to get revamped old zones for it. I think it would be a good move. I don't think every time we go somewhere it has to be this new distant land. I think we can start being like, oh hey, we're going somewhere we've been before, but now it's updated for 2026, right? And now they could create it from the ground up again, right? They don't have to go back and use the same zone, recreate it. But it doesn't have to be yo, we've discovered another island. Wow, here's another island. Oh my gosh, this island has underground caves, right? Eventually it can be oh crap, this place that we already know and love is under attack again. Let's go back.
Yeah. No, I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
To be honest, yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
All right, with that said, though, we got some listener questions. And before we read them, though, I want to talk to you all about our Patreon, because we love answering our listener questions. We love the people who listen to this podcast. Everyone is fantastic. And we do have a way to, support our content. So if you're loving the Warband podcast, you want to kind of support us, we have a Patreon account with multiple tiers for different types of support. So you can check that out. There will be a link down below in our description. It's a super awesome thing you can do, and you can unlock some extra content that way. We record weekly bonus episodes. Right now we're doing a live recording, so our Patreon listeners are able to pop in and listen live while we're recording right now, which is kind of awesome, and ask questions live. And of course, we always try to prioritize our Patreon questions if we have too many questions to get to that week, which this week might be one of those weeks. We got a lot of questions, and we are running shorter on time today. So we'll see. Some of them might have to wait till next week.
Yeah, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No,
right?
dude, I love questions. If you got questions for the podcast, if you want to hear our opinions on things, if you're like, yo, Swag Chicken, I need to know what you think about this, or I've had this idea, what do you think? Send them in, dude. We love listener questions. Right. If we had to get to the point where once a month we just did listener question only episodes where we're just we have too many questions, we just got to do whole episodes about them, I'd be game.
Oh, dude,
I would have no problem with that. Yeah, I'd have no problem.
Dope.
With that said, though, we got a question coming from Crollo. Excuse me if this has been asked before. I think we can all agree that the current leveling experience leaves a lot to be desired. In an ideal world, what do you think would be the best way for Blizzard to handle leveling moving forward? All right, I think I have talked about this. Chicken, do you mind if I go on my rant about the leveling revamp that I dream of.
Yeah, you can. Low key, I feel like we might have answered this question on the last podcast.
I don't think we did.
Oh,
We talked about it
I don't
briefly,
know.
but I know how I would have answered it, and I know I didn't talk about it last time.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
go ahead. As long as you can make it quick and decisive, which I think you cannot. So
No.
I will yield my time.
All right. Here's the thing. I will probably end up making a YouTube video about this in more depth once I get stuff situated that I can start recording again at home. But here's the short and sweet of it. I think Blizzard needs to revamp leveling completely, in the sense of right now when you create a new character in WoW, leveling feels like its own experience that is completely separate and different from any other experience in WoW. So you level super fast. Content is super streamlined. You go into dungeons and you're just running through them at the speed of light, trying to clear them as fast as you can, because again, you're just leveling as fast as possible. So like the faster you can do things, the better those things are. And it doesn't really feel like anything else in the game. And I think what Classic does really well is leveling in Classic. At any point while leveling, you still feel like you're getting an excellent version of the game. Like you still feel like everything you're doing matters, right? Right now while you're leveling, it's just like get to the end. And in Classic, it's not that the leveling itself is the fun part. It's that while you're leveling, everything you're doing still feels like it's mattered, right? Like crafting feels like it matters, right? Going out and like learning how to play your class feels like it matters. All these things feel like they matter. Doing dungeons feel like doing real dungeons, right? Like it. And right now, it just doesn't, right? Like right now, all of that is gone. I think what Blizzard needs to do, and I know I might get some flack for this, they need to create a brand new 1 to 60 leveling experience that feels more like Classic in the scale, right? So like multiple zones for each leveling range, kind of like Classic has, different starting zones for different races, like Classic has. I think it should be a little bit faster, right? So maybe, let's say half the time it would take the level in Classic, right? It shouldn't be super fast. It shouldn't be what it is right now, but a little bit faster, right? A little bit faster. And then they need to take time walking leveling and remove that completely. Time walking should be something that you can opt into at max level in order to go farm and be like, oh, I want to go collect things, or I want to go experience this, I want to do whatever, right? And then you can opt into it at max level, and maybe even like each time walking thing has its own like leveling experience that you're like, oh, hey, when I go into time walking, it drops me down to level 10. And I have to level up all the way through the time walking thing. I can leave it at any given point, and then when Chromie sends me back to it, I go back to the level I left it at, right? That could be cool. Not a big deal. I don't care what they do with it. It just needs to be separate. It can't be an option for leveling. Like time walking can't be another option. The Blizzard needs to know there's one track for leveling. It's 1 to 60. And then for every expansion, when you get to 60, there's like a transitional short quest line that makes sense as to why you're now going from the end of that 60 experience into the new expansion. Because again, right now it doesn't feel coherent. It feels like you're thrown into the world. Like you show up and you're like, wow, you're the champion. Go help some dragons. And you're like, okay. All right. Sounds good. It really, like, I do miss Classic where you create a character. And again, I prefer playing retail. I just think this is something original WoW did so well. You start out as an absolute nobody and you work your way up into that reputation. And so we lost that. So again, I constantly try to get people into World of Warcraft. And that's the big speed bump, is that leveling just is not compelling gameplay right now. It's not great gameplay. And it's really hard for me to get people to max level where that fun gameplay actually is at. So that would be my thing, a 1 to 60 experience that's meant to be there for the long term. And when the new expansion, and every expansion, you're just going from 60 to 70, right? So when Midnight comes out, any character above 70, or any character above 60, any character above 60 just gets pushed down to 60, right? You don't need a complete level squish across all levels. Just anything above 60 goes back down to 60. Whenever a new expansion comes out. But that would be what I would do.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me. I don't disagree with what you said at all. Like, I seriously don't disagree with any of it. Obviously there's some changes and tweaks I would make, but I think everything that you stand for when it comes to the leveling experience is like on par with what probably needs to happen.
Yeah, I think I would say it's the most important thing Blizzard could do right now, and I don't think it should be an expansion feature. Like, I actually think Blizzard.
I don't think so.
No, I think Blizzard needs to sit down and go, hey, look, this is actually something we have to do, not for the sake of selling an expansion, because that's not going to sell it for people. It will sell it for new people who have never played the game and are trying it for the first time, but it won't. It's not a box selling feature, right? They need to make it and say, hey, we're making this because we believe if we make it, the game will grow.
People will come. Yep.
Yeah, people will show up and play our game. Not because they're going to now have to buy a new expansion. Because again, and ultimately, the negative too, and the negative is, and it has to, dude, trust me, it has to be this way. The negative is that for people who love leveling up alts, especially when it's like, hey, I want to try playing mage at raid now. Let me just level a mage real fast. That's going to be a little bit slower. And it's okay. It's like okay that's going to be slower, right? I think right now WoW's kind of stepping away where it's like any class spec you want to play, you could have one leveled up within a couple days. And that's great for max level people. But again, terrible new player experience.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Mm-hmm. Question from Draga.
Really bad.
Yeah, Draga asked, he said, question for the podcast. In terms of dungeon mechanics, how complicated is this season's dungeon pool versus previous seasons? Please take into account that the perspective of somebody new to the entire dungeon pool that wouldn't remember mechanics from recycled dungeons. I'm finding it very burdensome to learn the intricacies of each of the dungeons in the pool, and I'm wondering if this season's pool is just overly complicated. It has deterred me from pushing keys.
I mean, I would say that in terms of dungeon difficulty, I would say that this season is probably pretty on par with last season. I think were some dungeons that might have been a little harder last season versus dungeons this season, and vice versa. I think there was probably some dungeons this season that might have been a little easier than some of the dungeons last season. In terms of, trying to look at someone that's new to the entire pool, right? That's kind of a hard take, because if it's the first time you're ever doing dungeons, I can understand,
especially M+,
that.
We're talking about Mythic plus,
right?
Not just like
the first time I ever did M+, like the first pool, like it was hard. Like doing dungeons the first time ever for M+ was extremely difficult. It took me a long time to get into a place where I felt like comfortable doing dungeons. Mm-hmm. It took about a season, to be honest. And I think that's just progress, right, Draga? I think that's just kind of how progress goes. Like the second season I ever played, I got KSM, and for me that was like a huge deal getting KSM. And now I say like, oh, people that get like, is KSM even like an achievement anymore? Because for me, KSM is like, oh, this is something I get like in the first week or two, right?
Yeah.
And I think it just comes along with time, right? I think the first time you get into M+ is very new. It's very niche almost. It's not like, progressing in raid. Like it's not like going from normal to heroic to mythic and raid. Mm-hmm. Going from normal to heroic and mythic and dungeons is one thing, but then getting to M+ is like, that's like taking an extra like 5 steps, right?
Yeah.
It's very daunting. You got the timer, you got everything else, but I wouldn't let that discourage you. I think, like I said, I think the first season that someone gets into M+ is definitely difficult, just based on the gameplay mechanics themselves. I wouldn't let it discourage you. I would try to just keep going with it, try to take time with it, and then I feel like this next season, you'll feel like you're going into it with already some things under your belt and what to expect a little bit.
Yeah, I would say, and I know this probably isn't what you want to hear. I'm certain this is not what you want to hear right now. I would say that this season mechanically compared to previous seasons is actually on the easier side. which I think is a good thing. Actually, I think the last season, not the last season, the last expansion was starting to get too complicated mechanically.
Yeah.
And with like too much stuff going on. I think this season's a lot easier mechanically. I also think a lot of mechanics are now telegraphed a lot more clearly, right? So you can actually see things that are happening, right?
I would agree
now,
with that.
With that said, though, don't be discouraged, right? I know you hear me say it's easier, and you're like, crap, next season can be super hard. I think this is where Blizzard wants it to land. I think how this season feels is much closer to where Blizzard wants it to land, if not maybe even a little bit easier before. And I don't mean easier in a terrible way. I just mean mechanically. Mechanics aren't as wild as they have been, right? With that said, though, Chicken is 100% spot on in terms of like player growth, right? Because like my first season, I started healing, doing M+, and I was like terrified. I was like mortified of it. I'm like pushing like, this was before the squish, right? So right now, right, I was running what were 2s at the time, which doesn't really exist now. But I was like trying to push like 2s up to 6s in that range, which 6 might be closer to what a 2 is now. But it was definitely a lot like I struggled and I wasn't very good. Getting KSM, I remember the first time I got KSM, and I was like, this is a major achievement. This is amazing. And then the next season, I like pushed real hard, and I got KSM, and I even pushed like a little bit beyond KSM, and I was like really proud of myself. And now KSM is like, I don't think about it. I literally don't think about KSM when I go into a season. KSM is like a stepping stone achievement for me. Absolutely just a stepping stone achievement. I don't think about it. I don't process it. Usually what happens, I'm like, oh, wow, I got KSM already. Okay, cool. If I'm like trying to do it, I might be like, yo, can I get KSM week 1? Right? Like that might be the challenge. Like, can I get it the first week? Which isn't even as fun anymore because before, you had a 2-week rotation. So it made more sense making that challenge when like you could only do half the dungeons the first week because you had the tyrannical fortified rotation, which doesn't exist anymore. So all your rating comes from the same week. But with that said, though, what you're going to find is over time, those mechanics are going to feel more and more natural to you as each season progresses, and you'll get used to it. But it's different. It's also worth keeping in mind with M+, that M+ is infinitely scaling content. And so, like, find the spot that you feel like you're being challenged but not overwhelmed, and work there.
Yeah.
And live in that realm until you're ready to step up higher, right? Because you shouldn't be walking, like, if you're finding yourself dead almost every pull, then you're in content that's too high for you, right? You're going too far. So if that's like a +7, if you're like, man, I keep trying to run 7s, but I'm just like dead the whole time. Okay, I get it. I'm sure you want like whatever reward +7s are giving you. You're probably trying to get to 8s to get the reward from 8s or whatever, right? But that's fine. But why don't you go down to a 4 or a 5 and live there for a little bit until you're like, okay, these 4s and 5s are actually too easy now. I don't have any problem in them whatsoever. Then move up, right? Yeah. It's especially at this point in the season, it's very easy to like, because of gear, because of other opportunities, because of friends, whatever, to find yourself feeling like you need to be pushing a lot higher than you actually are, and you're not going to enjoy it at that. Like if you're just getting absolutely overwhelmed every time, you're not going to enjoy it, right? And that applies to everybody, right? Like it's infinitely scaling content. So for every single person, there's content that feels very good and doable, too easy almost, and then there's content that's just like impossible, right? And you have to find that middle ground where you're like, okay, it's a good challenge, but I'm not overwhelmed. Like I can do this, but I gotta be locked in, I gotta be focused, but I can do it. And that will teach you those mechanics slowly, because as you go up, certain mechanics will start to one-shot you, but when you're low enough, they won't, and that'll be a good time to learn. Find the things that are like hard chunking your life in those lower keys and be like, okay, it's hard chunking my life. This will kill me if we go up in keys. What do I need to do right now to learn how to avoid it?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree.
Question from Taco. I don't think this is Taco from our guild. This is a listener Taco. Saying, interesting speculation. Yeah, interesting speculation from today's podcast release about the all races having all of the classes. If humans in real life can be shamans, why not on WoW? This is a little bit more of a lore one. Want me to take it, Chicken?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Humans in World of Warcraft don't have the same history and background as humans in World of Warcraft. And it's important to remember that, because if they did, then pretty much every class would have humans, because all the classes in game are related to things that we do, right? Even like druids are related to some religious groups that exist in the world, right? And so, like, you know, they're not totally one and the same. And so humans in World of Warcraft have a different history and a different background. You know, coming from, obviously, manifestation of the curse of flesh on the Vrykul, right? And so when the Vrykul became fleshly, and then over time their babies became deformed, those deformed babies were what we call humans now, and they were kicked out of Northrend, and they were sent south, and they settled into the Eastern Kingdoms. But none of them really had shamanistic values, right? Very early on, they hooked onto the light. But even before then, they didn't really have shamanistic values. We see the Kultirans with druidism. And I think the Kultirans also have some shamans, which technically Kultirans are humans. So if you want to say, you know, they are humans that have shamanistic stuff, but it's a very specific shamanism. And really in game, we're told that it's like water-based almost exclusively. But I say all that to say, though, it's not the same history. With that said, we know Blizzard is slowly working towards trying to make most classes available for most races. And shamanism for humans is a no-brainer at this point. Because at this point in World of Warcraft history, they've spent a lot of time around the dwarves who have shamans. They've spent a lot of time around... Oh, who else has shamans? Well, I guess the Kultirans, right? So the Kultirans could teach them as well, right? So a lot of it is like those connections, right? If they're connected, they should be able to maybe transfer some of that knowledge over to them. And we do see that happen often, where it's like, oh, these races are hanging out closer together. The Draenei as well, right? So the Draenei maybe practice a type of shamanism that might be more appealing to the humans as well. Especially because of how light-focused the Draenei are. They seem to have found a type of shamanism that doesn't feel oppositional to that. And so, yeah, all that to say, though, that could be a reason why humans will get them in the future. We'll see what it means. It doesn't take a lot of explaining because, again, they've always had super close alliances with the dwarves. They live close to the dwarves. They have a literal underground train that takes them back and forth between Stormwind and Ironforge. So the Stormwind humans, because that's who we're talking about, the Stormwind humans theoretically have great reason to become shamans, but when WoW launched, and even by Cataclysm, they didn't really have good reason to have shamans in their gameplay yet. Especially because you have to remember, Cataclysm was when dwarves finally got shamans. Up until Cataclysm, the only shamans the Horde had were Draenei, and those came in Burning Crusade. Those were not original when WoW came out. And so even the Dwarven shamans were a different group of shamans. It wasn't the ones that we're used to originally. It was another group coming in and joining in that they had shamans. They brought them with them. So now the humans have probably had enough time to pick that up from their Dwarven and Draenic allies, and even from the Kultirans. Not the Kultirans are mixing in a little bit more. Hope that makes a little bit of sense.
It definitely made sense. And I'm so upset that I didn't get to answer that question. I had everything ready. I was going to answer it just like you did. But
dang,
I just didn't get the chance. That's okay. I'll live. I promise.
All right. Do we got one last question? Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah, we got one last question. It looks like some people got some questions in towards the end, but don't get too upset, guys. We'll get those in on the next podcast. And
absolutely.
Also, Taco has another question that we'll get on the next one because it's a good one that I really want to spend some time talking about before, this season ends and this kind of, mount farming ends, because I think it'll be some good conversation.
Perfect.
But yeah, we got one more.
Why don't I read the question, because this is not a question for me,
sense.
So I'll read it. And we'll end with this. When you're done, we'll end the podcast. But it's a good one. This is a good question. Coming from Wargramps, he said, so we keep hearing about how much Chicken does not like lore. Hence why I answered that last question, I guess. So my question is, why? I always love a game with a good story. I will do the quest, read books, watch videos, and anything else. For me, it makes the game just that much more enjoyable. So what is the real deal here?
Okay, so I did think about this question a fair amount, to be honest. And I don't think it comes down to 2 points here, right? So I don't dislike gaming lore as a whole. Typically, I shouldn't say typically. There's definitely some games that I am more prone to enjoy lore for than others. It comes down to the type of game and just the amount of lore and stuff there is within the game, and lore, interchangeable with storyline. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I think the problem with WoW, and it kind of goes back to the leveling experience, right? And this is something that I've said on previous podcasts before. The problem with WoW lore is there's so much of it, and I feel like I'm at the point where I just don't. It would take me a long time to catch up on it and to kind of get a synopsis. Don't get me wrong, I've definitely watched like, oh, this is what's happened in the World of Warcraft up till now, right? Like those like 10-minute long videos or like 7-minute long videos, right? But like, imagine you just like, I don't know, you came and, you're not like a Marvel person, but you were like, hey, I haven't watched any Marvel movies, but I'm going to watch the last 30 minutes of Endgame.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this was cool, but it doesn't make sense. And like, that's kind of where I'm at, right? Like, I'm kind of at the point of like, oh, cool, I went to the Dragon Isles. Or, well, even before that, I'm like, oh, cool, there's this jailer guy and I have to kill him, right? And then I was like, oh, now I'm going to this dragon place, right? And there's cool, storylines here, right? But, it is something that I like about WoW, that everything's kind of tied together, but it makes it hard to kind of find a good point of like, hey, what storyline and where do I go, right? Because you start in BFA. Well, I started in BFA, and even then it's like I'm so far deep in the storyline that it doesn't, like, there's not like a great synopsis, if that's the right word. There, at this point, I feel like I'm too far behind to be able to catch up. And that is like 100% the main reason why I don't get into WoW lore. Like, I feel like I'm way too far behind to be able to learn everything in a modest pace, right? Like, I'll get into lore with, I was thinking a big one is Nintendo games, because you almost have to like be in the storyline in Nintendo games, or else half the time you don't even know what's going on. But like, outside of like a few games that I play, I really like to focus on gameplay as well. That's kind of the second key point. I play the games for the game, not really the story in the game.
Yeah.
Even though sometimes the story is tied into the game pretty specifically, but yeah, hopefully that answers your question. But I think, there's just so much story in WoW, and to kind of go back and digest it all just is not something that I really want to do.
Yeah. I also think too, when WoW came out, right, MMOs were kind of starting to pick up some steam, right? You had things like EverQuest that were kind of kicking butt. People were like amazed with that, right? And Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3 were these RTS games that people loved, but they were chock full of lore. But they were the start of that story, right? They were the start of that lore. And they had some like external materials that kind of helped build it up more. But again, people loved the story. They loved the lore. It was really awesome. And so World of Warcraft comes out, and it was like, okay, we're going to continue that story that we love.
Yeah.
We're like starting from the point at which like people already know enough. They're already aware of what's kind of going on, and we're throwing them into the world, and they're slowly exploring the world. Is that leveling question again? starting at level 1, right? Because I didn't play the RTS games before I went into WoW. I actually started WoW without the RTS games. I did love watching the cinematics, though. And again, there wasn't as much to learn at that point because WoW was pretty new. But you're like thrown into this world as an absolute nobody, and you're like slowly working your way up and building prestige and like getting to know what's going on. So you kind of naturally pick it up. And I would go to an area and I'd be like, oh, and I'd like quickly look up. I like Googled, who are these people? Why are they important? What's going on? Right? Like I wanted to know. I watched like whatever little YouTube videos I could find because I was being fed it all at a slower pace. WoW now doesn't really do that, right? So I think it's hard sometimes for people to understand, like, the original draw of WoW was to explore this world and learn the story and get to know the characters and feel like you're a part of this world of Warcraft, right? Like, feel like you're a part, like a denizen of Azeroth. Nowadays, though, there's a shift that's occurred. And I think older players of WoW who played it for a long time, or even maybe came in and just loved the story because they have previously loved MMOs or they want something a little slower, will sometimes miss. And that is that, like, yes, WoW is a huge world. I love the story. I think there's no other game that has a story quite as amazing as WoW's. Like, maybe it's not the greatest writing ever, but it's deep, and there's lots that's happening, and there's tons of mini micro stories happening all over the place. I love it. But WoW also, what it's doing really well right now that actually didn't quite nail the first time, like when it first released. The raiding and dungeons in WoW when it released were awesome. They were great. But right now, WoW's endgame content is second to none. Like, there's no game out there, and I don't care how many people try to convince me that Final Fantasy's endgame content is just as good. I'm sorry. I've watched enough of it to be like, no, thank you. It looks fun. But it's not the same. M+, and, like, rating is incredible, right? Like, the way that, no other MMO is touching upon what WoW is doing. It's absolutely fantastic. The balance is great. The design is great. The challenge is high. And so there are a lot of people who love playing WoW simply because the gameplay is like really good. And so you have players all across the board. You have players who are just like, no, I love the world and exploring and collecting. I want to know the story and take it all in, right? And then you have players who are like, dude, I just want to go and run M+ all day long every day and get my score up because M+ is a fun game mode to play. And the design of it is really good. They've had 20 years to continue developing this and like getting it just right and tweaking it with live feedback constantly, right? Which is amazing. And then you have players who are in the middle where they're like, I like the competitive stuff, but I also like the story, right? Like, I want to kind of take it all in. So the player base of WoW is diverse, but it is something that, is a little bit more, it was more common, I think, when WoW first released to be like a huge nerd when it came to the story. And now it's a little bit more common, I think, for players entering WoW to be huge nerds about the gameplay.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yep. But that is everything for today. If you want to hang out and discuss podcast content or World of Warcraft or anything else, you should join us on Discord. There will be a link down below in the description and come hang out. But otherwise, Chicken and I will be live again, or not live, but we'll be recording for next week for another release. You can tune back in, and we'll also have bonus content on our Patreon. See ya.
See ya, buddy.